Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan White and I'm excited to share with you a character in the postbellum era concerning the economy. His name is Washington Gladden. The title is Washington Gladden and the Moral Critique of the Postbellum Economy. The postbellum era was a tumultuous period for America socially, politically, and economically. The Civil War had drained the nation of resources including financial, human, industrial, and agricultural capital. Upon recovery, America experienced a qualitative shift in industrialization marked by increased factory production and the adoption of new technologies such as the railroad, including coal and iron and steel factories. This created a new kind of workplace. Along with this type of workplace, harsh working conditions and low wages plagued it. It was extremely harsh before the Civil War, but it continued maybe to get better, but still stayed harsh in this postbellum era. Let's take a look. Washington Gladden was deeply critical of the conditions that had come to define the American workplace. He was a congregational pastor and a leading figure in the social gospel movement who personally experienced harsh labor conditions and witnessed the same struggles among his parishioners. In 1875, while at the North Congregational Church in Springfield, Massachusetts, he wrote his first book, launching his leadership in a movement dedicated to applying Christian values to social issues. This is what really attracted me to him and his writing and how he is viewing this postbellum era, especially the economy, through the lens of Scripture. In his book, Christianity and Socialism, he explains his concern regarding the economy, quoting, "The economic motive is the foundation of the social order," end quote. In other words, the primary motive for a thriving economy is to prioritize money and profit. This is where he disagreed. In contrast, he thought the best way for the economy to function was with mutual respect among workers, management, and business owners. This would in turn yield profits as the worker is adequately compensated. Later in this book, he articulates this understanding. The fatherhood of God gives a foundation for social order and peace and welfare, end quote. Building on these experiences, his motivation to challenge the prevailing economic system deepened. He had deep conviction here. Gladden described an industrial economy in which business owners maximized production to accumulate wealth, relying on employees who worked in harsh, unsafe, and extreme conditions for extended hours and little pay. For example, a worker's wages had not improved much since the war, and in some cases even went down. As you can see on the chart here, in 1865, a worker's wage was $1.29 per hour, while in 1880, it went down to $1.18 per hour. Additionally, he accused the economy of becoming controlled by the capitalist federal court system rather than by the states and by the people. In his book, Working People and Their Employers, he speaks of the federal courts being in favor of the business owners, quoting, "If there are courts of equity, their object is not to compel the doing of right, but to prevent the doing of wrong through the imperfections and under the forms of law." This aligns with Beasel's book on the postbellum era from this week, in which he states, quoting, "While the Supreme Court was the dominant agent in the political construction of the national market, Congress played a supporting, if mainly passive role," end quote. Like Gladden, Bensel addresses the same structural problem. The courts prioritize protecting capital and market expansion, treating business interests as essential to economic growth while constraining efforts to secure workers' rights. He began to question the moral priorities of factory owners, arguing that the central question they should ask was not, and I quote, "how much profit can I extract from them," end quote, but rather, quoting, How much good can I do for them? End quote. This question compelled him to respond to the catastrophic event as he explained it. It was my duty as a Christian teacher and moral counselor to grapple with it. End quote. He showed how deeply he believed in a better future for workers when he said, quoting, I look to see its burdens lightened every year and hope for the time when the bumbling toils that now dull the faculties of so many millions shall give place to a freer life, to labors less painful. End quote. Thank you.